Welcome, Gemini, to your Mars in Aries 6 week forecast for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. From the 9th of April through to May the 18th, Mars is going to be blazing a trail through its home sign. I'm going to share with you the event chart for when he arrives. Always provides an influential backdrop for the whole period, but I'll then go through each of the influences Mars forges and how it's going to impact you from a purely Gemini perspective. At the end of the video, you'll have a clearer idea of what's in store in terms of energy, work, relationships, and finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. So Mars has been making his way through the most visible part of your chart ever since the 2nd of March, and has given you a chance to raise your profile, be dynamic, but also be more assertive. But we've also had your ruler Mercury in a retrograde and a pre and post retrograde shadow through that period. So not everything may have gone exactly to plan. But just as Mars has started to prepare to move into the sign of Aries, he has been forging a brilliant link to Uranus, the planet of innovation. And something you've been thinking about on the back burner, as much as you've been pushing that visibility, could start to come through now. So on the screen, Gemini, is your event chart, and there's Mars at 0 degrees Aries, the most critical point of the whole zodiac because it's the start of the zodiacal journey, the vernal point. So it's about new beginnings, but the new beginning for you is very much about your future. It can be about your connections, your network, your alliances, but also your higher purpose. But Mars in Aries can also be about our identity. So how does it look in terms of the event chart for you? Well, first of all, we need to be mindful that Mars is met by the dreamy, drifting energies of Neptune. It's going to be exact on the 13th of April, but they're close enough straight away for it to have an impact. So Mars in Aries is very much about energy, about daring, can be about being very bold, and it can be about seizing the initiative. And Neptune's just saying to Mars, it's important to understand the nuances, which Mars is not usually so interested in. It's very much about being in the here and now. So when it comes to your alliances, your connections, your friendships, or that higher purpose, Neptune does introduce the potential for a more idealistic approach. But we also have Mars moving forwards, and by the 16th of the month, forging a perfect sextile to Pluto. Now, that's a very important connection. Pluto sextile Mars enhances our willpower. But if you're connecting to people who are like-minded, the ninth house, share your philosophies, you want to collaborate with people, the 11th house can be very much about cooperation, but you have very similar objectives, those relationships can be highly charged in a very constructive way. But we also have then Mars moving forwards and connecting in an exact conjunction with Saturn on the 19th of April. Now, that can be quite a challenging aspect. The two malefics together, Mars the lesser and Saturn the greater. And if there are any weaknesses in terms of your close connections, your alliances, they could show up at that time, and you may need to show a lot of resilience. Then Mars is going to move forwards and connect with Chiron. And again, if there are some challenges around how you feel you are in group dynamics, Mars brings the energy for you to discuss or to process this. And then early in May, Mars moves forwards and comes into a right angle with Jupiter. And if there is something that you're very keen to attain, particularly materially, your determination to go for it's going to be very strong. But what about the other elements of the event chart? Because the sun, as Mars arrives, is in a T square with the moon and also with the aforementioned Jupiter. And the moon square is a quarter moon, which provides a backdrop energy for the first week that Mars is in Aries. And that's saying to you that if there is any heavy energy, some politics, perhaps some control issues around a connection you have, perhaps in a friendship circle, that could show up. But that square with Jupiter can give you a real burst of optimism. And when it comes to your financial situation, the belief that things just can't go wrong. And that's something to be important to be mindful of not believing. Because when the Sun and Jupiter are in a square, we can believe that things will work out, but we really need to put in that effort. But of course, the thing that Mars can do is give you a lot more physical energy, but particularly once he gets past Saturn. And if you do enjoy team sports, or you are someone who likes to be very social, Mars going through this area generally can be very good for you. But as he arrives, both Venus and Uranus are in your 12th house. Now, Venus does forge a very strong link with Jupiter, so the two planets of fortune are collaborating. And if there is something you've been working on behind the scenes, or it's linked to some research you've done, or perhaps an old business relationship, that could be very positive for finances. It's true. However, Mercury, your ruler, does continue its journey at the top of your chart for now through to the 15th of April when it will join up with Mars. But that is in a broader alliance with Uranus. So I think the things that you've been working on behind the scenes, as much as the things you've been working on in a more visible way, continue to be very important. But I think you are going to be asked some questions about those connections, about those long-term plans, but most of all about your higher motivations. And of course, Mars is very much about what we want as individuals. It is the planet of ego. But in the 11th house, it is asking you to be aware of making your individual interests blend in with other people. And that can work very well. We shouldn't give up our identity in order to exist in any kind of friendship group. But at the same time, if you do want to find ways to collaborate, then Mars here can definitely help you. I'm going to summarize those four areas for you briefly, but if you've yet to watch your April deep dive monthly forecast, that's on the screen now. Your Libra full moon forecast on the screen. You can sign up for your free daily horoscope to be fired to your device. Please see the link below. Get your celestial pit stop each day. Also, my personal horoscope reports, we've introduced a 3-for-1 offer, which we're going to run now. So you pay for one chart, but get three in total. Please see the link below. If you'd like to work with me directly, please see my testimonials below. So to summarize, when it comes to your professional situation, something that has been frustrating in recent weeks could reach a breakthrough just as Mars is moving into Aries. When it comes to your personal situation, your love life, if you're unsure about a relationship at the moment, it's important to understand or ask yourself the question, is it there or going to be there for my long-term future? Because that opposition between the moon and Jupiter could be around where you're quite attached to something or someone who's perhaps not necessarily the right fit. Doesn't make them a bad person. It's just not necessarily what you truly need. So you are going to be asked some questions, searching questions about that future plan. And because you have got Venus in the 12th house, if there are doubts, they could come up. But as far as finances are concerned, as long as you're not too keen to spend the money you've got with that T-square from the Sun, the Moon, and Jupiter, and keep working hard at what you're trying to achieve, I think that's looking quite promising. As far as energy is concerned, if there are any people around you who tend to be somewhat draining, I think you're going to become much more conscious of those alliances now. All the best, Gemini. Take care and goodbye.